What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Shinobi Squad podcast. I'm fan service Renji.
I'm Shana Mostella.
Summertime. It's the year of the Olympics.
Ooh.
Dude, I love the Summer Olympics.
I love all the Olympics. I don't even care. If they had a spring solstice Olympics, I'd still watch it. I'd still watch it.
So what would they do in the spring solstice?
I don't know, ribbon dancing and
ribbon dancing in the snow.
Yes.
So they combine winter and summer sports.
yeah.
Gymnastics out in the forest. Yo, low key, speaking of gymnastics, I love gymnastics. Male, female, I just love the gymnastics
I
competition.
do too.
And some of these dudes be going out there with the hardest faces. And Sean and I had come up with this saying that we would say after everyone got done performing, because they would look all hard, right? So they would go do their thing on the floor, and then as soon as they get done, gymnastics, bitch. That's how they made it a little more manlier. Even though some of those exercises take a lot of upper body and core strength that most of us can't do.
But they're so light on their feet.
But everyone's like, hey, twinkle toes.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much strength it takes to be twinkle toes?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Respect.
But what I'm excited about for the Olympics this year is the gymnastics and the sprinting.
Oh, yeah.
Because these girls is about to kill it.
Oh, yeah.
They ain't ready. But of course, with every black person having success, there's gotta be controversy. So what did you just read?
I read that Sha'Carri Richardson, fastest woman on earth, in my opinion, but she just got tested positive for marijuana. So now they're threatening her position on the Olympics team.
Really?
And saying that she can't participate because of it. Don't know if it's set in stone yet or not. I just kind of saw the news happen just the other day. And I'm just like, really? Marijuana's not even a criminal charge anymore.
It's legal in a lot of states. It's legal for recreation uses in
Yeah.
some states as well. Y'all really gonna stop this girl from going to the Olympics, even though she's the fastest person in America?
Mm-hmm.
That's bullshit, because Michael Phelps was doing weed his second time in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I love how the critics were like, yeah, that's why he's slower. Well, no shit.
I'm glad you said that, because in the comments talking about Sha'Carri Richardson, they were going wild. They were saying things like, so she went slower on purpose, giving other people a chance. Oh, good for them.
Yeah. So y'all saying she faster than everyone else and she was high? Y'all should be embarrassed. Maybe y'all need to smoke some weed.
That's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing if someone can out sprint you while smoking weed.
She's still the fastest around. All around, she's still the fastest. And she was smoking weed. So it's like, what are you trying to say here? You know?
Mm-hmm.
She's still better than everybody
Yeah,
else.
she's just like Michael Phelps. Though he was smoking weed and that was such controversy,
Yeah.
he still outbeat everyone else and got himself to the Olympics. So that says something.
He still won gold.
Yeah, he still won gold his final time in the Olympics. He still did well. It's not like he didn't place. Yeah, he didn't get as many golds the first time around, like in
Yeah.
Beijing. So all that she's smoking weed shit, they need to just throw that shit out the window.
I know. That's some after school special kind of shit.
She was giving y'all a break like Usain Bolt, right? That dude was so fast that he intentionally was going slow just so he could break his own record. So if y'all don't remember, in one of the races that Usain Bolt did, you see him looking left and looking right and slowing down. If you've ever taken track, that's the one thing they never tell you to do. Don't look left, don't look right, just run straight.
Yeah.
Because that slight hesitation of looking, you slow yourself down.
Yeah.
But you could see him in slow motion replay, looking left. Man, I got these guys. And he intentionally didn't go as fast as he could. So that's saying a lot. Especially y'all are the ones up in this girl's comments just because she a black Olympian.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all in for a surprise. So many people that are in the Olympics this year are black.
Mm-hmm.
And they about to dominate. So y'all better chill so they can bring home some medals for America. I've been seeing all the memes about the gymnastics teams, the runners, and all that stuff. And guess what? A lot of these Olympic athletes are all black.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all better stop with that. But they smoking weed and stuff like that. Well, Michael Phelps is whiter than white, and he was smoking weed too. So y'all still let him in. So shut the hell up. And so many people out there, so many white people becoming millionaires off of this weed market. So don't be trying to come after our girl because she out there destroying the competition.
I'm sure her feet hurt. I'm sure her legs hurt. I'm sure she's in a lot of pain after whipping so much ass on the track. So she's going to need some medicinal remedies to help her out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. When you that badass, you need something to bring you back down.
Oh, yeah.
You need something to relax your muscles. Anyways, we're not here to talk about any of that. We like to throw in what's current every now and then, and that's current news right now. A lot of us definitely are looking forward to the Olympics. I know a lot of y'all out there were trying to go to Japan for the Olympics, even though we said, that's not a good move because it's going to be super expensive. But so many people are excited to go to Japan this year. So many people are excited for the Olympics, but, Japan's still not letting tourism happen. So we can at least enjoy the Olympics from the comforts of our home. So I'm definitely excited just to be all Olympic nerd out because the Summer Olympics have been the shit.
It's been a long time since we've had a dream team and people to look forward to other than Michael Phelps and other than so-and-so. It's nice to have a good, well-rounded Olympics this year. Yeah. I can't wait.
Yo, low-key, I was super excited about like Michael Phelps and stuff like that until they had broken down Michael Phelps' physical anatomy, like why he's such a good swimmer. They're like, well, he has a long torso, so he has a lot of upper body strength, and he has long arms, but he has short legs. So that means he's got the power to stroke, he's got the short legs to kick, so he's perfect for swimming. I'm looking at that, I'm like, that's how I'm built. I have a long torso, but my legs aren't proportionate to what my torso is. So I have a lot of upper body and I have long arms, but fun fact, I can't swim at all. I cannot swim to save my life. The best I can do is go from one end of a pool to another. And I'm sitting there watching this Michael Phelps special like, ain't that a bitch? Like, that's me. But I can't do any of that.
You can get to one point to another, but poorly.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be fast. According to your proportions, you're supposed to be badass. But
I'm not. It was a lie. I can't do this right here. Like, like doggy paddle swirl thing and stay afloat. Once I run out of energy to swim back and forth, I'm dead. So.
I can't swim for very long. I get tired out very easily. So that might have a lot to do with my endurance. I don't have any.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was one of the things that discouraged me about the Olympics when they broke that down. I'm like, no, boo, boo.
That's supposed to be me.
I know. Can't swim for shit. And I've had a lot of people try to teach me how to swim over the years, and it's been embarrassing. Like, I've had a friend hold me by the waist while he stands. He's like, okay, practice your stroke. And he just held me while he was standing. And I'm just sitting there trying to swim and flap my arms and kick my feet. I've had him do that. I've had him hold me chest to chest while he will swim on his back, right? And I'm on top of him, like missionary style, trying to swing my arms and kick my feet. He's like, dude, come on. I got you, dude. You're not going to drown. And he tried to take me to the deep end.
Damn.
We was like dry wet humping, I guess, because we're in the water. So we're wet humping across the surface of the lake. And he's like, you will not drown because you're floating on top of me right now. So like our dicks touched and everything. That
was a down ass friend.
Yeah, he really wanted to teach me how to swim. And like, I give it up to you, Kent. All right, Kent in Michigan. I haven't forgotten that. You went all out to teach me how to swim and our dicks touched and everything. And I just never learned how to swim.
This magic moment.
Yes, it was a magic moment because that was brotherhood at its best. He's like, dude, I don't want to find out that you went on a cruise and drowned because you don't know how to swim.
Oh,
he tried so hard.
That's a down ass friend.
We spent a weekend practicing everything he taught me.
You need to send him a gift basket.
I do.
He went all out for you just for you to learn nothing.
I know. Ouch. But those are definite facts, though. I did not learn anything I should have learned that day.
Yeah. You need to send him a gift basket, a gift card to Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
Gift card to Kohl's to get new slacks.
Yeah. New slacks at Kohl's. Hey, don't be dissing Kohl's and their slacks. I love Kohl's and their slacks. But anyways, we're not here to talk about the Olympics, and we're not here to talk about how me and Kent's dick touch in the water. That's none of y'all business, but if y'all want to visualize that, I guess you could, All right, so today I want to talk about photography in the cosplay world. I just had a meeting with a photographer I worked with 10 years ago. He's trying to get back into the cosplay realm, the photography realm. So it just kind of inspired today's conversation because obviously the cosplay photography landscape has changed. Why has it changed? Well, a big part of it is there's a lot of creepy ass dudes out there just ruining the game for everyone. It just makes me ask the question, like, why is it so hard to be a cosplay photographer and not have any drama or creepiness behind you? Why is there so many incidences, even within the pandemic? I just want to talk about the experiences being in front of the camera as a cosplayer or a model and the experiences being behind the camera. So that way, cosplayers know what to look for and how to pick a photographer and how to deal with photographers. And I also want to just talk about what it's like to be a photographer. So some of y'all potential photographers out there, I know a lot of y'all have been hitting me up lately asking advice how to get into cosplay photography. Well, hopefully y'all listen to this podcast because I have a unique perspective because I've been on both sides of the camera. I've been the cosplayer. I've been the personality in front of the camera. I've also been the photographer and I've also been the videographer. So I've had my fair share of dealing with cosplayers and just clients in general. So take notes. Hope y'all learned something from this podcast because the cosplay photographer realm definitely needs a lot of polishing these days. After all the controversy that's been happening over the years, photographers really need to reestablish confidence with cosplayers. Being a male cosplayer, I still have my reserves with working with certain photographers. My reasons range from they could just be a creep to they can be unprofessional or their work just sucks. So I still have my reserves as well. Free shoot, paid or not. I still value my time to where I don't want to just shoot with anyone. So before we get it twisted and before people start feeling butthurt, like, well, some people just want to shoot for experience. There's a difference between someone that just wants to shoot you in the hallway. Hey, I like your cosplay. Can I shoot you real quick? Cool. I'm down for that all day. I'll pose for thousands of pictures a weekend, right? But I'm talking about photographers that want to pull you aside for half an hour, for an hour to shoot with you. They want to do a mini photo shoot right there on site, unplanned. So that's what I'm trying to address. As we grow in the cosplay community, we start to see how much time we put into our work. So we want good pictures, but good pictures comes with picking the right photographer. So hopefully with us sharing our stories and our experiences, it will help you guys have a checklist of what you're going to ask when you pick the right photographer. All right, Shana, one of the biggest issues in the community when it comes to cosplay photography is the male photographer with the female cosplayer dynamic. Obviously, there is going to be some sexual tension. You can't help when someone's attractive, someone's hot. How you respond to them being attractive is a whole nother story. So when a photographer approaches you for a shoot, does that come to mind and how do you deal with it? What do you look for to make sure that's not what it's about?
It comes to mind all the time, of course, but until the photographer crosses that line or if it's going a little longer than it should, then that's when I kind of cut it off because a session with a photographer, especially if you're just like passing through at a convention or if you see them at an event and they want to take your picture, it shouldn't take that long.
So if a photographer approaches you and says, hey, can I pull you aside for a private shoot? How long is an appropriate amount of time that you think is fair to give to them?
It's like they can take their photos of you, say it's like one photo for every pose, but it's like, okay, let's stop what we're doing here and then move somewhere else, maybe farther away or more private.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that where I'm just like, you know what? I really don't have time for this. So that's just me though in general, even if they're not really looking for something more or trying to get my individual attention like that. It's more like just a professional things like, okay, take your snapshots and keep it moving.
Yeah.
So I'll always just stop it before it even gets there personally. But if they're trying to like take you away from the scene or trying to get you somewhere like more private where they can be more one-on-one and personal with you, it's like then you can't really say anything once you go that far with that person because then they can just do whatever they want or say whatever they want.
So that's been a red flag for you, just if they want to like move even further?
Oh, yeah.
How much time is too much? Like say you only stay in that first location. What's the cutoff point for you?
It really depends. If they're trying to just take a snapshot, okay. Because I've had photographers come up to me and say, hey, do you mind doing a little mini shoot with me? I would give them anywhere 10 to 20 minutes maybe, and then after that it's just more time than I have to spare.
Yeah.
Even 20 minutes is pushing it, but it's still reasonable in a way because you're at the convention, you're doing your thing anyways. If it's any more than that, I feel like it's way too long.
I agree. 20 minutes is probably a good maximum for just a random pull you aside kind of shit. I've done paid shoots for people as a photographer, and I've done paid shoots as a cosplayer. I've paid people to take my pictures, and within a half hour, if you have a good photographer and a cosplayer that knows their poses and what they want, you can knock that shit out in 15 minutes. Some of the best photos I've ever taken with Totally Toasty Ari, shout out to her, but she's kind of retired, but some of the best photos I've ever taken with some photographers, I've knocked out in 15 minutes. I knew what I wanted, and they knew how to capture it. When that shoot got done, they were able to give me 10, 12 pictures of my shoot. No time wasted. As a photographer, when I've shot people, because I work fairly quick and I know when I got the shot and I know when the poses are done, even though I book half-hour shoots, we're usually done within 20 minutes. I take that and I put it onto my experience as a cosplayer. If someone wants to pull me aside on some random shit, 20 minutes is pushing it. When these photographers do pull you aside, what do you do when you start to notice the sexual tension and the inappropriateness? What are some of the signs you see coming?
Some of the signs I see coming is they'll start to compliment me in an uncomfortable way, like, oh, you're so sexy. They'll just say uncomfortable, like, compliments to you. It's like, okay, you can compliment the cosplay and say how good it looks, but then they keep talking about it and keep saying things like, you're so this, you're so that, and oh my God, like, do this pose like that, or do this pose like this. And I have worked with photographers who go for that kind of look, like, booty shots, and because that's just, they do sexy photography.
Yeah.
I know that already about these photographers like that. But when it comes to someone who's, I don't know who they are, or I don't know their whole theme and what they're looking for, it goes from a normal photo shoot to, okay, now do some back shots. Okay, now do some underskirt shots. Okay, now do this over here. Like, you kind of get a feel for who's who in the industry. So when they're doing a little bit too much, more than what they weren't doing before, it's like, okay, then you understand. It's like, okay, this is going south, and I don't want to go south anymore. Like, I want to go this way.
So what do you do to, like, back off from that, to deter?
I just leave.
You just flat out leave?
I will say, like, okay, this is enough. I need to go and do what I got to do. But if they keep saying, oh, no, do this, do that, I'm like, nah, I got to go, bye.
Yeah, and
that's what you have to do sometimes.
That is the most direct answer. Some people are afraid to say no for some reason, but for all you cosplayers out there, you have every right to say no. Even if you commit to the shoot and start it, once you start feeling uncomfortable, you can definitely just say no. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, who cares if you never get pictures from this guy? He's obviously starting to be creepy.
If it's pictures that you pay for, especially, you know what you want and you know what you want to put out there, because as soon as you do something you're not comfortable with, you know that photographer has possession of those photos, so he can do whatever he wants with it.
Yeah.
He or she. I know some people get a little weird about money, like when they pay for something or when someone's paying you, but you always have control over what you want put out there of yourself. Those are images that are going to portray you at the end of the day, not the photographer. So you have every right to say no and just cut it off and walk away if you have to.
We talked about it in a previous podcast about how there was this photographer duel, a husband and wife combo. They would try to encourage girls to be a little more lewd, a little more sexy for their portfolio. They would have a whole website of just sexy lewd cosplayers. Comes to find out, a lot of the girls that they work with were uncomfortable, but they still did it because they wanted their photos or whatnot. And their whole scam was, I'm not a pervert. Why would my wife allow me to do this? But the wife was in on it too. She knew the business. She knew sex sells. So she helped her husband take these lewd pictures of these girls. She was the, oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'm a woman too. I know. I would never put you in danger, but yet they would make these girls take pictures and pose in ways that they felt uncomfortable for their own gain. Unfortunately, that is a reality in this cosplay world. Photographers do push the limit. Some of them don't know any better, but a lot of them do, and they take advantage of the situation. A lot of these people coming on the scene, they want content that's going to bring them into the game. They want content that people are going to follow. They see what other photographers do. Well, this dude's doing booty shots of girls. Why can't I? So they think it's okay, but it's not. It does come down to a photographer-client basis. Some girls love their booty taken pictures of. I had a person that I shot for Anime Expo. We found this really cool location, but she was standing on top of this like platform thing. She was wearing a skirt. The shot I had in mind was really dope, but from the angle I was at, because she was above me, I was like, look, if I shoot this, your booty and your panties are all going to be in this video. She was totally cool with this. She was like, Renji, boy, please. My booty is all over the internet already. I don't mind if you do this. I kind of knew that about her because we had met previously and I saw the content she posted, but that doesn't mean I still had the right to shoot her.
Right.
You always have to ask. People can change their mind. They may have lewd stuff from the past, but that doesn't mean that's what they want to do now. And I made sure it was okay. I told her one more time, I'm like, look, this is what I'm about to do. I'm going to shoot like this, and I'm going to swing around you. So it's going to be nothing but butt cheeks from the back because you got a lot of booty. But when I swing around the front, it's going to be all camel toe, depending on how these panties look on you. She was like, dude, I'm totally cool with it. I know the work you've done. I know you're not some gross photographer, so I trust you. So she's like, you can record me giving you permission to say, fan service Renji can film my booty and this upskirt shot. That's the kind of communication that has to happen. For all you aspiring photographers and videographers out there, the consent has to be that specific. Just because you ask, hey, can I shoot you? That doesn't give you the right to shoot whatever you want. You have to tell them specifically what you're going to shoot, what you're going to see, and then show them. Even though she said, hey, I'm cool with that, I still showed her the footage to make sure there wasn't any like camel toe slips and it wasn't showing more than she was comfortable with.
I wish photographers would ask me before they post a picture if it's okay if they could post it, because sometimes the pictures that they be posting are just like, they're really bad. They're just really bad angles of me or just really bad pictures of me. But I also want to throw in there as well, if you're a photographer, I know it's weird and awkward to ask somebody those things and it might feel uncomfortable, but those are things you have to have as a disclaimer and just ask them, because people are getting called out left and right in this day and age. Do you really want to get caught up in something like that, you know, and be known as a pedophile or known as a this and known as a that and be given a title all because you didn't ask for consent or all because you didn't take the extra couple minutes to ask them if it was okay to do an upskirt shot or a booty shot? It's like for the people that get called out, it's like, don't you wish you could have just taken that extra second to ask them?
That as well. It protects you as the photographer. That way, there's no backlash later. The photographer is covered. The cosplayer is covered. Y'all discussed it. There's no surprises. Every time I shoot anything, I show them what I shot so they know, hey, I'm going to edit from this. There's no surprises. Make sure you approve it. I don't know why so many photographers are so like, no, you can't see the picture. That's a red flag right there. Any photographer, paid or not, you have the right to see what they're taking pictures of.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't like it, tell them to delete it. Or hell, when they give you the camera, delete that shit yourself.
Yeah.
Who cares? They can be mad at you, but that wasn't a picture you wanted taken. For all the future photographers out there, consent is key. Detailed consent. Whatever you see on camera or you think you're going to see, present it and just tell them so they know. Because sometimes you'll shoot this shot and they think it's okay. Then you'll post a video. Some people will be upset. I didn't want you to show that much of my butt cheeks or my cleavage and stuff like that. Because again, it's one thing to see it in person, but when you put it on the internet, it's there forever. And some people don't want them presented like that. Though the costume may be skimpy, hashtag cosplay is not consent. Just because the cosplay is super sexy or super skimpy, it doesn't give anyone the right to just to be like, oh, you know, look at these butt cheeks, you know, look at these titties. So that's why as the photographer, it will not hurt to take extra time to break it all down to them. You'll be making yourself appear so much more professional because that's what it's about. Don't feel uncomfortable. If you're filming someone and you can see their nipples and be like, yo, I can see your nipples. Like, not trying to like stare at your titties, but I can see your nipple.
If you're that shy to ask somebody or point those things out, just show them the picture. Be like, are you okay with this picture? Look at it. Like, zoom in and be like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, it's better to do that than to chance it and then be called out on social media the next day and be like, wait, I wasn't even doing anything, though.
That's a very subtle way of doing it. Hey, are you okay with this? Zoom in on all the trouble spots. Be like, hey, you can see this here. You can see this here. Are you good with that? There's been times where there's been cosplayers who know they're super revealing, but they still got upset when a picture got posted because maybe they had a super perky nipple or they had extra camel toe going on that they didn't think they had going on. Because, you know, throughout the day, your costume rides up and it shifts and it changes. Or I know those are super sexual examples, but it could be as simple as someone been sweating, so they got like pit stains and sweat under boob sweat. Hell, Shana's had under boob sweat before. Episodes we talked about how Shana was Falcon and she sweated through her t-shirt. There's been times where like my drawers have been wet, you know, and like sometimes these things show up on camera. And so you want to show these people and be like, yo, look, what do you want me to do about your armpit stains, you know?
Especially in this day and age where, you know, we can't have anything nice anymore. So you can't just skate by anymore, especially since people have been getting called out left and right for things that they were doing intentionally. So you want to be on the safe side regardless.
Also, as a cosplayer, if you know you have trouble areas or very revealing areas, you need to tell the photographer that. Be like, look, this shirt is very see-through and you might see nipples and stuff like that. Depending on how I shift, let me know. Or if I bend over, like my butt cheeks will show. I don't want my butt cheeks to show. You got to communicate this with your photographer. Again, on some non-sexual shit, if you have a trouble area in your cosplay, say you've messed up a stitching under your arm, let them know so they don't photograph that bad side. I'll be the first to admit I've butchered a lot of wigs where one side will look good and the other side will look terrible. And I will tell the photographer, yo, don't photograph me from this side of my face because the wig is janky. Or I'll tell them I messed up on my cosplay here. Can you please not take a picture here unless you're going to Photoshop and fix it? It's all about communication. And a lot of photographers appreciate that. So they know what to help you look out for. Or if it's just as simple as, hey, sometimes my collar isn't straight. Can you please make sure it stays straight? Or my wig moves around a lot. If you tell your photographer that shit, it gives them something to look out for.
Man, shit. I be telling my photographers all the time, be like, dude, I just ate a burger, so don't be getting like below the waist.
Yeah. It's like, it's okay to say that because then both of you have guidelines and things to look out for. As the photographer myself, I would definitely appreciate it. Any feedback they'll give me. Like, that's one of the first things I'll ask. Are there any trouble areas I need to look out for? Please let me know so we can give you the best pictures. Or do you have any angles you're uncomfortable with? And some people will be like, yeah, you know, when I turn my face like this, I got a double chin. For all you photographers out there, these are okay questions to ask because this is like the pre-game coaching session, you know? That's what makes your shoots successful. I got a little ahead of myself. Even before all that we just talked about, how do you pick a photographer? A con's coming up, you have a cosplay that you really want shot, you willing to pay someone. How do you even go about picking a photographer? What are some of the things you look for before you commit to somebody?
I look for quality, and that's coming from years of experience where people don't know how to use a flash or don't know how to use their expensive camera. And just because you have an expensive camera doesn't mean you know how to use it. So I look for all of that. If you take the time to look for a photographer who actually knows how to use their equipment, it'll save you so much time in the long run to not have to edit your own pictures or have to pay someone else to edit your pictures for you for the pictures to look, you know, somewhat presentable.
When you say quality, what is it exactly that makes it quote unquote quality to you? Like the composition, how the models look, or just the overall picture image? Like somebody can have a super nice camera where it's crystal clear, but the model looks like shit. What is it for you that you see?
For me, because personally, I have taken so many pictures. I've modeled, I've been the subject of someone's photography before in the past. I'm trying to get at the point that I know how to model. I know how to take these pictures. I know how to pose for pictures. So what I look for is lighting. I love really good lighting because lighting is important. Good lighting is always important.
Oh, It's everything.
It's everything. So I always look for that. That's first and foremost. If you can't do anything else with your camera, if you can't take a decent picture to save your life, just know lighting is important. It is everything. It's going to have the difference between a crappy picture versus a really good picture. So I always look for that. But I also look for if the photographer knows his angles and knows how to work with the model, because there's been so many times where I've seen pictures that people have taken and it's of a person who doesn't know how to model and doesn't know how to pose for a picture, and it's always like the worst angles as well. So it's like a double negative. Like
Yeah.
you can't have both. You have to at least work with someone if they don't know how to work with themselves.
Yes, that is a great point right there. I wanted to touch on that. As a photographer, it doesn't matter how experienced your client is, your model, they're depending on you to motivate them to put out the best possible image. If someone's uncomfortable, it's up to the photographer to put them at ease and make them loosen up so they can pose and be comfortable in front of the camera. I've seen so many of my peers in the cosplay photography and videography realm have these pictures and these portfolios where cosplayers clearly look uncomfortable. They look awkward. They look stiff. I never fault the cosplayer for not knowing what they want to do. Sometimes these videographers and photographers approach these cosplayers like, hey, can I shoot you? Of course, everybody wants to be shot, but not everyone is experienced enough to know what to do on their own. So as the person behind the camera, it's up to you to put them at ease and work with them to get the best results. I'm so tired of these photographers blaming their clients like, well, this person didn't know how to do this. This person didn't know. No. You didn't know how to do your job. It's not their job to look good. It's your job to make them look good, especially if you're trying to sell yourself as a photographer or videographer. Like, that's on you. So for you up and coming photographers out there, that is key. That's like up there in the top 3. It is your job to make them look good. That's what they're paying you for. Just like when you need a new roof, it's not the person that owns the house to tell the roofer how to fix their roof. They're hiring you because that's your expertise. You need to give them the best roof possible. Because if it was up to them, they would build their own damn roof. And a lot of cosplayers and a lot of photographers don't understand that. They want to blame it on their models. And I hate that. For those of y'all that don't know, some of y'all photographers out there, they're just so stuck in the, it's not my fault. You're exactly why so many cosplayers have learned how to self-shoot and do their own photography or shoot with their friends. Because they're tired of dealing with y'all photographers that blame the cosplayers for everything.
I'm glad you said that, because when I used to watch the show America's Next Top Model, it used to irritate me so much. I mean, it's a different story when you're trying to become a professional model and that's just what you do, and you're supposed to work with your photographer and, you know, keep up the pace because time is money. But I would hate when these girls were just starting out or just doing their very first photo shoot when the person like Tyra Banks or somebody in the background would be like, keep up with your photographer, keep up with them. And they're like all over the place and don't know what to do. And the photographer's flashing off so much pictures and so many frames. And they just come out with just shit. They come out with shit work, and they always blame the model for that. I'm just like, but if you were willing to work with the model, if you're willing to take their angles and work with them a little bit more, you will still come up with really good pictures.
Yeah.
You don't have to just like do your own thing, because at the end of the day, you have to work with the person that is your subject. Because otherwise, you're just going to end up with shit that you can't use.
That's half the battle. You got to think of it like a movie.
Yeah.
A good director will make the difference between an amazing performance and a mediocre performance.
Yeah.
A good director knows how to pull it out of their actors.
Yeah.
Or break down the music. A good producer knows how to get this person to sing the right key. They know how to get this person.
They know what they want.
Yeah, they know what they want, and they know how to get it. So as a photographer, it's the same thing. It's up to you to pull the performance out of these people if they don't have it within themselves. Again, that's why some people pay the premium prices to work with certain photographers. I was on a cosplay thread the other week where one of my friends was just like, yeah, my friends pull in $2-3 grand a weekend at a con like Katsucon. I'm like, holy shit, they making $3 grand a weekend? I'm charging too little. If there's dudes out there making $3 grand a weekend off of cosplay photography at a con. But then you look at their work like, oh shit, that's why they pulling that kind of money. These dudes can knock out a shoot in 30 minutes and it'll be done. Versus I've dealt with photographers that have pulled me aside for an hour and we still don't have shit we can use.
Because most photographers aren't willing to work with their subject. They're just sitting there quiet. They know what they want, but they won't say it. And if you just took the slightest bit amount of time to help that person, you'll get something really beautiful in return.
Yeah, one of the best things I ever did with one of my photographers, Toti Ari, what made our chemistry so nice was we talked about what I wanted before we shot. I would send her reference pictures of what poses I wanted to do, what scenes I wanted to recreate. So as the photographer, she would take note and study that. Then we would pick a location and we'd plan it out. So when we got to the set, she already kind of knew what shots she liked and what she had in mind. And I already knew what I wanted to do. So what made our shoot so efficient, I'd be like, okay, let's do this scene. Let's do this pose. I'd pull up the picture on my phone. And then she'd be like, okay, I like that shot too. I kind of studied it. I visualized it. So working on the location, we reenact the scene. And that's what made a lot of our shoots so well because we talked about it beforehand. I knew what I wanted as a cosplayer and she was able to deliver what I wanted.
And that's very important to have as a photographer. You want your clients to be comfortable with you. So then they're more willing to work with you often, and then they'll tell their friends about it and they will build a relationship with you, and you can do the same thing for them, and then they tell their friends. That's how you build a business around it.
Yeah, little did I know that my experience with her would teach me how to be a better photographer. Because I would see her be like, okay, Renji, pose. She would take 1, 2, 3 pictures. Okay, next pose. And I'd be like, that's it? She's like, yeah.
She always says, I got it.
I
love that. I love when she says that.
We would knock out all our shoots in 10, 15 minutes. And then when the final product was delivered, she'd give me 10, 12 pictures. I'm like, holy shit. We got that shoot done in 15 minutes. Again, I've worked with people for an hour and they can't even give me 2 good pictures that I want to keep. Back to the original question I asked, how do you pick a photographer? You said quality. I look at turnaround time.
That too.
We've all had the backlog experience. Sorry, I'm so backlogged. I don't know when I'll give you your pictures. As a photographer, I'll say it right now, that's a bunch of bullshit. You can deliver these pictures as quick as you want to. If you are so backlogged, stop taking on more work. I'm going to say that right now to a lot of y'all photographers out there, y'all that be charging money for shoots. If you out there just shooting pictures for free for your own benefit, that's one thing. You know, if you a hallway photographer, you know, you just doing this shit for press, okay. But if y'all out there charging people money, if you cannot deliver your clients' pictures in 2 months, you whack. I'm sorry. You are just trash when it comes to turnaround time. Because how would you feel if you paid a plumber to come fix your pipes and you paid them the money and they didn't come for 2 months? How would you feel if your car broke down and you paid money up front and you didn't get it back for over 2 months? You'd feel like shit. So why is that any different when it comes to cosplay photography? So that's why I be talking so much shit about these dudes that be doing paid shoots and cannot turn around their pictures within 60 days. That's even being generous. My policy, when I shoot people, 30 days. If I don't give you your photos back in 30 days, you get all your money back and your pictures for free. Because I made a point for myself and my clients to be like, y'all took the time to invest in me. I'm gonna make sure y'all get your shit. And that's one of my selling points. So when I look for a photographer, I definitely be asking them, when will I get these pictures back? And when they say shit like, oh, I don't know, 4 months, nah. Bye, boo-boo. Bye. Because in 4 months, I could have watched a couple YouTube videos and learned how to shoot my damn self. Like, that's ridiculous.
Man, but there's been at least 1 or 2 photographers that do have a backlog, but they're just so good. I'm just like, I don't care how long it takes me to get my pictures back. I'll still work with you.
And that is the balance, because there are photographers that are worth the wait. But unfortunately, most photographers in the cosplay scene are not worth the wait.
They're not.
Especially when you pay them money. Because it comes hand in hand. A lot of these photographers that are professional about their business, got the good quality, they will crank out your shit within 60 days because they're about their business. I ain't trying to mess around with these casual hobbyist photographers. Again, disclaimer, if you just want to take 1 or 2 pictures while I'm walking around, cool. But if you trying to pull me aside, waste an hour of my time at a con, you better deliver this shit.
You better work.
Nah, there's been times where you do have to be a douche. Be like, show me what you've done. If you want to do a private shoot, because your time is valuable. At a con, you've invested money into cosplay, you've invested in travel, the hotel. You ain't got an hour to waste with some Joe Blow bootleg baloney photographer. Next thing you know, this dude's gonna pull out a goddamn flip phone. I've had this shit happen where someone's like, dude, can I take a couple pictures of you? And this dude busts out a flip phone from 10 years ago.
Wow.
I'm like, I didn't know Nokia flip phones were still in service.
You still have that?
Exactly. Did you get the Infinity Stones and travel back in time? Like, how'd you do this? Turnaround time is vital. So as a cosplayer, don't accept that bullshit, because you got to raise the standard. Us as cosplayers don't say, no, that's unacceptable. These photographers don't get any better. And as a photographer, you should want to turn around projects as quick as possible. If you're trying to do photography or videography professionally, the longer you sit on this project, the more time it's going to take for you to accept the next project. Well, unless you're just a shitty photographer that just takes on all the projects and have all these backlogs and you owe people products. That's bullshit. You should just want to clear out your catalog right away so you're ready for the next clients. That's how you make money. There's been photographers I've worked with, amazing pictures, but they've taken 8 months to give me my pictures back.
I've had several photographers email me a couple years later and give me not even like a whole photo shoot, like a couple snapshots that they just took in passing when I was at a convention. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the picture I took of you 6 years ago at this convention. I'm just like, I don't even look like that anymore. I can't even post these pictures because that's not even me anymore, dude.
Yeah, I was like, who is that? The timing of it is vital. Some cosplayers wear certain costumes because a trend is happening. For example, the Black Widow movie just came out, right? Everyone's busting out Black Widow cosplays. They want those pictures back right now because Black Widow's hot.
Right.
Or Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's hot right now. They don't want those pictures a year from now when 18 other Marvel movies come out. Some of these people cosplay this thing because that's what's hot right now, and they want that content back right now. All my clients, I've always guaranteed they get their whole set back within 30 days, and within 1 week, I'll give them at least one picture to post. That way, they have something to post of their new outfit, and they have a whole set to look forward to. Another big thing when it comes to picking a photographer is overall reputation. I know that's kind of difficult to figure out just on the service level, but there are things you can do. Number one, go on their photography site or their Instagram or whatnot. They got pictures of people they work with. Message them. I've messaged people that I didn't know. It could just be as simple as an Instagram or Facebook message saying, hey, I noticed so-and-so photographer took your picture. How was your experience with them? Some people won't answer because, direct messages from strangers just go into a different inbox, but some will answer. Be like, oh yeah, that dude's totally cool. You should work with him. There's nothing wrong with that. Another thing you can do, just Google search the photographer's name. And if there's drama behind him, it's going to show up. Background checks on photographers are definitely necessary. Just because this photographer was cool a couple years ago doesn't mean they're cool now. Once these skeletons come out the closet and it's all laid out on the floor, you come to find out the bullshit they're really on.
Oh yeah. You can't always tell if someone's creepy or if someone has skeletons in their closet at all because got called out. I remember a couple of years ago when the photographer Michael Benedict got called out in SoCal. He was someone who was always in the convention scene, always taking pictures of cosplayers, always at the latest convention everywhere around Southern California. And him as a person, he was very quiet, very shy, very underspoken, didn't have much to say. Didn't have many mannerisms, there wasn't no distinguishing characteristics about him except for how he set up his photography area.
Yeah.
He would always pick a spot. He would always set up really nice. He would always have his flash and his shadow boxes and everything just nicely set out. And like walking past him every time at a convention, he always just came off really professional. And even just speaking to him in passing or when I'm taking pictures with him even, he never seemed like a creep to me. Like he was just very low key. But I guess that played in his favor because he did end up getting called out for putting a hidden camera in a dressing room at a cosplay photography studio that a lot of photographers would go in and out of and like would take pictures of their, subjects and whatever. He put a hidden camera in the dressing room where these cosplayers were getting dressed, and they ended up finding it, and he was caught red-handed.
That was the saddest thing we ever heard from SoCal. Like Shana said, he was such a reputable photographer. Other photographers vouched for him.
Oh, yeah.
People up and down were like, yo, if you need someone that's trustworthy, you need to shoot with this guy. Like,
he was so good, too.
This was a guy. This guy would shoot LA Fashion Week.
Mm-hmm.
He was a professional photographer. This is what he did. But he got caught. He would host cosplay photo shoots at these studios. He placed a hidden camera and somebody found it, but he didn't delete some of his older pictures. I forgot the exact number, but there was over 350 pictures and video clips of cosplayers changing in the dressing room over the years. This dude's been doing this for years.
Mm-hmm.
This person found it and just exposed him. Once this girl called him out, he went on his Facebook and Instagram publicly confessed to it. So that was the nail in the coffin. He confessed. Everything he said was good enough for him to go to court and get arrested for. Like, he literally snitched on himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm sorry for placing a hidden camera on these photo shoots and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, damn, dude, didn't you even talk to a lawyer first? Then they took that shit to court, and we haven't heard from him since. Multiple people took him to court because there was over 350 images and videos. So a bunch of people were pressing charges against him. So they asked everyone else, can you please just leave it alone? Because we're going to take this to real court, and this will be dealt with the right way.
Damn.
It never hurts to do one last check before you commit to someone.
But something like that, like, how do you check something like that? He was sneaky.
That's an extreme case, right? Say Michael Benedict never got arrested and he beat the charges. He could just go back to doing photography for people.
Mm-hmm.
That information's out there, so you get to judge yourself. Do I feel comfortable doing this? Let's bring it back to our very first podcast about Ryzen Zai. This dude was called out with evidence of him pretty much having sexual relationships with an underage girl.
Mm-hmm.
This dude was in his mid-20s, and he was having sex with a 14 or 15-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
The girl had all the evidence, all the receipts, phone, text messages, Instagram messages, everything, where dude was just like, I feel so dangerous messing around with an underage girl. He acknowledged she was underage and didn't care because it excited him. Even though he got called out, he still thought he could make a comeback in the cosplay community. Because he never got prosecuted and did jail time. He thought he was in the clear. Due to the time limits of when it happened, the state would not pursue charges against him. So he walked away scot-free, right? This dude actually thought he could reemerge in the cosplay scene and nobody would care. It's shit like that to why you have to check one last time.
Yeah, true.
Because up until that call out, people were cool with him too.
Mm-hmm.
And since he never got arrested, it was like, was he technically guilty? Oh yeah, he was. The proof was there. Just like this secret cam footage. The evidence is there. He may not have went to jail, but that shit's right there. You arm yourself with this information to make the right decisions to work with these people or not.
Man, but going back to Michael Benedict, though, you said they found over 300 some photos on the one camera.
On the one camera.
He must have had an astonishing memory card.
Yeah.
He must have had a really awesome memory card to hold that much information.
And the scary thing is that's just on that memory card.
Oh,
Imagine
God.
if he had others. Imagine if he dumped the footage. So who knows how long that dude's been doing that shit.
I didn't even know memory cards came that big.
I mean, they do now. You know, if you got the money to get a big ass memory card, or you can get a camera that has a hard drive on it. So Michael Benedict had money. So
That's another thing, another red flag. If they got too much money, you can't trust them already off the bat. No, I don't trust nobody who got more than 6 figures just in their pocket. Nope. Nope. If you pulling out stacks and you over there, every convention you go to, you staying at a suite, I don't trust you.
By yourself.
By yourself.
By yourself.
No.
We know cosplayers ain't got no stay in a suite by myself money.
Hell no.
Yo, us cosplayers is broke. All Truth.
I don't really pass that off on photographers because some people really do invest in their business if that's what their life is about. But like, no, this dude had to have serious money.
He was doing shoots for free. He's never charged anyone. If you really think back,
oh my God.
Every time you see him at cons, his shoots have always been free.
Can't trust you. That's already a red flag for me. Like, if you make too much money, I don't trust you. do not trust you, especially at a convention. Nah.
Because his private shoots at these studios, he would book out the studio, pay the money himself, shoots for free.
Nope. Nope. Too much money.
Too much money.
Too much money make too much problems. So.
Another very vital point in cosplay photography is being on time and sticking to the schedule. As a photographer, you have to stress, y'all need to be on time. Don't be afraid to put your foot down and tell them, if y'all more than half hour late, your shoot is forfeit and I got your money. Also, on that note, make sure you get the money beforehand. Do not lock in shoots unless they pay you up front. That way, they have motivation to show up on time. When you're at a con, you definitely have to prepare for cosplayers being late. Things are going to happen. They're trying to get dressed, and cosplayers, unfortunately, do get overzealous and think they can jam-pack everything all together. But that's not your problem as a photographer. You committed to a time. You set your time aside. If they can't show up, that's on them. Even though me being the photographer, I've been late to a shoot before, and I had to eat the cost and miss my shoot and pay them. I mean, I paid up front, so I had no choice. But that was on me as the cosplayer because I was late. If you have the time to budget, you can be cool if they're late. But if they're late and the next shoot is about to begin, cut them off. That's really on them. If you don't want to be a complete dick and be super strict, give your clients like a 15-20 minute cushion, so don't book the next shoot right away. That's just dumb too, if you book a shoot right on schedule every half hour, because you don't know if you have to walk from one location to the next, or if you got to take a dump, or you get hungry. So give yourself a little bit of time between every shoot. So that's why me personally, I like to give at least a half hour cushion between every shoot, just in case someone runs late. Or I got diarrhea. You never know what's going to happen at a con. But as a photographer, if you are on that tight of a schedule and you do have all these bookings, don't be afraid to be like, well, y'all messed up. If you want to be courteous, you can be like, well, I've got time on Sunday if y'all want to reshoot then. But don't feel bad if the cosplayer missed their shoot, because it's up to them to get there. As the cosplayers, especially if you have a group shoot, you definitely have to be there on time, because it's not just you. It's the photographer and everyone else involved.
We had this one photo shoot. It was for the anime One Piece, and we were supposed to have like all of the characters in there. And we had this one character that was supposed to show up, who was supposed to be like one of the main characters, and he just showed up like super, super duper late.
He lived closer than some of the other people, too. This dude was an hour late, not even dressed or in makeup. That pissed me off so much. I emphasized to him, dude, be there on time. Please be there on time. If you need help getting ready, show up early. We'll help you get on your makeup and your costume and stuff like that. This shoot was a logistical nightmare because some of the people involved only had weekends off. One of the person had a weekend off, but they only had the daytime off. The group was like 7-8 people, plus 3 photographers. I had some people traveling in 2 hours from out of town to be there. Someone else was an hour. Oh, yeah. And there was someone else that drove 3 hours to be there. Everyone else got there, but the dude that lived half an hour away couldn't get there on time.
Right.
And when he did, he wasn't even ready. He threw off the whole dynamic, and we had plans, and I laid everything out. I had an itinerary. We're going to do group shoots. We got pairings, and this time. But this dude got there and didn't even get ready. And he had like 6 weeks to prepare. I was so mad. I appreciated him for coming, but I'm like, bro, I told you how serious this is.
Right.
We came out of pocket for that shoot. Shana and I either made or bought some of the cosplays for that weekend just to get all the characters. We also paid for photographers to come out. We had food and drinks for everybody. Like, that was a big deal to get this group shoot. But this one dude was just like, I'll just show up whenever I show up. But he lived closer than everybody else. And that shit just pissed me off. Stuff like that, you ruin a whole shoot.
Right.
You show up late and you ruin the shoot. Luckily, the photographers were willing to stay for longer. But if that was on a tight schedule, that would have been a nightmare. Like, we did lose a good hour of time because of him.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't get a lot of the shots off I wanted, but we still got a decent shoot out of it, but we could have did better. So as a cosplayer, if y'all on that bullshit and you know you're going to be late, don't even be a part of this shoot. You're just wasting everyone else's time. When it comes to convention shoots, some of your peers have traveled and they've been working for months for this.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mess it up. Also, when it goes back to picking a photographer, make sure your photographer can handle a group of people. They may take good solos, but if they take a group, that's a whole nother story. I've seen photographers do group shoots where all the cosplayers aren't even looking at the camera. It's like he just snapped a random picture and nobody was looking. Not gonna lie, as good as I am with people, if the group's over 5 people strong, it's a logistical nightmare. Not only do you have to keep everyone focused, so they're not like messing around or just being stupid, you have to make sure everyone in the picture looks good.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have one person blinking, one person pose wrong, or one person looking the wrong way. That's a big problem I see in group shoots is the photographer doesn't notice every individual eye, and they be looking all crazy. Just real quick, one last thing that's always bothered me when it came to cosplay shoots, extra people that weren't in the original plan. As a photographer, to make your subject feel comfortable, you need to let them know beforehand how many people are going to be involved. It could be you and your assistant. Let them know. You don't want to surprise people and overwhelm them. We bring it back. A lot of cosplayers are very uncomfortable to begin with for a private shoot. So when you bring extra people and take them by surprise, that shoot's gonna go bad. I know I hate when there's people I don't expect there. I had booked a shoot with one of my favorite photographers, but it was a group shoot. It was me and one other person. She decided to invite her photographer friend over. I didn't feel totally comfortable with it, but I just wanted to be cool. All right, you know what? You can bring someone over as long as they're cool. What ended up happening was while me and my main photographer that I paid money for, we have a time limit. We're trying to work out these shoots, and then my cosplay partner, her friend was like, hey guys, can I get a shoot real quick? And then he would step in and try to snap some pictures. And then it got to a point where he was just snapping pictures on the sideline. So then the person I'm supposed to be cosplaying with is getting distracted. I'm looking at the camera I paid for. She's looking at her friend. And it's just throwing off the pictures. And so I finally step in and be like, look, when we're planning or talking, y'all can shoot all you want. But when we're in front of my camera that I paid money for, can you just back off? That's one of my pet peeves is when photographers or the cosplayer bring extra cameras because it becomes a distraction. Unless we have it figured out beforehand and a system, then don't do that. As a photographer, I've had a client that brought her husband along who's a quote-unquote photographer. I was like, I don't mind you bringing someone to be your handler just to be there. Quick note on that too. As a cosplayer, you have every right to bring someone along with you for safety reasons. Doesn't matter who it is, but make sure that person doesn't interfere with your shoot. They're there for your safety. That's cool. They're there to check on you. This girl brought her husband along, which I was fine with. She told me, hey, is it cool if my husband and my best friend comes? That's fine. You know, you can bring whoever the hell you want. It's your shoot. But all I ask is they don't interfere with what we're doing. And she's like, oh, it's cool. My husband's a photographer. He gets it. And that was the red flag. I'm like, really? I know a lot of boyfriend/husband photographers who get insecure when their significant other books someone else to shoot them. Because why? Obviously, it's like, oh, why are you going to pay Renji to shoot you? I could shoot you. That business, y'all need to check at the door. Y'all work that shit out amongst yourself. But when you show up in front of a photographer that you paid for, you also have to be professional. What got on my nerves was as I was shooting her, getting amazing pictures, mind you, at some point, he could not help but give his input that nobody asked for. Why don't you pose like this? I kind of held it in. That was her husband and all. He wants to tell his wife how to pose. Cool. The moment he crossed the line was when he busted out his camera. Oh, can I get a few shots of you real quick? I'm just over here like, no, bitch. You messing up the vibe. Because like I said earlier, I shoot and get results really quick. So by you stepping in and breaking up the momentum we have, you messing up a shoot. But then on the other hand, I'm just like, well, your wife paid for this block of time. So if you want to mess up what she paid for, go ahead. Y'all could have just shot this shit at home without me here. Anyways, throughout the shoot, he kept stepping in and trying to shoot his own shots. Or even worse, when I had her posed and lined up for this perfect shot, he would take like side angle shots, which didn't look right. Because one of the locations we shot in was this tunnel. And it's a very, obviously symmetrical tunnel. So if you get someone centered in a tunnel, it looks amazing. But this dude's shooting off angle shots to where the tunnel doesn't look like this long tunnel anymore. And then he's all posting those pictures up on his Facebook and Instagram. Clearly in the pictures, you see her looking at me. But he's just off on the side sniping some shots because they're in a relationship. She has to post his pictures to make him feel better. And it's just overall not good. Like, you're making her post these shitty ass pictures that you took of her, even though she paid for better pictures. So anyways, bring people for your safety. But if you're paying a photographer, respect his wishes. I said, it's cool as long as your husband doesn't want to tell me how to shoot you. Like, you paid me for a reason. You obviously like my work. Let me do what you paid me for. But this dude just couldn't help it. And there's been other times where it's not even a husband or anything. There's always a third party that has to chime in. I shot someone this past winter. Everyone was freezing their ass off. I knew what I wanted to shoot for this person, but yet their best friend, their handler, had to chime in and be like, no, pose like this, pose like this. And then finally, the girl and I had to say, yo, can you chill out? You don't know what Renji sees behind his camera. If he says to put my hand exactly right here, let me put my hand right there. That's the problem when you invite too many people to your shoot, because a lot of people don't know when to shut the hell up. All right, y'all. I just looked at the time again, and we are definitely at that cutoff moment. Hopefully, y'all learned something from some of these examples and things we talked about. Cosplay photography is definitely a touchy subject. There's definitely a lot more we can get into. If y'all want me to expand on this photography topic or y'all got specific questions, let us know in the comments below. We'll definitely talk more about our experiences. All right, with that said, make sure y'all follow us on all the social medias. Give us a thumbs up, comment below. It really does help the algorithms and shit like that. Make sure y'all share. Let y'all friends know about the podcast. That definitely helps. You can download it off of iTunes, whatever major streaming site you're on. You can watch the YouTube version of it if y'all want to see what kind of outfits we were in. Definitely options out there. So make sure y'all do all that because it really does help us out and we trying to expand. Also, if y'all listening on the audio versions, if you tune into the weekly YouTube versions, we are live every week when it premieres. So we up in the chat so y'all can interact with the people that watch the premiere version of this podcast as well. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Shinobi Squad podcast. I'm Fanservice Renji.
I'm Shana Mostella.
See you guys next week.
Bye.